3 billion human lives ended on August 29th, 1997. The survivors of the nuclear fire called the war Judgment Day. They lived only to face a new nightmare, the war against the machines. The Terminator series became a sci-fi cult classic ever since it first showed up in 1984. It was action, film noir, and time travel all mixed with this metallic paintbrush. It was a masterpiece. As a Terminator fan, I like the original and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You could definitely say it has something to do with the R-rated charm, but really it's directed by one man who actually made Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, James Cameron. It has memorable characters, the oh shit moments, and most importantly of all, the killer cyborg assassins. The T-800, Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, and the T-1000, the most deadliest advanced prototype. So you clearly see why I like these two movies. Although I would talk about the other sequels such as like Rise of the Machines, Salvation, Genesis, and Dark Fate, but that would be another time. Cause now I'm here to just review the video games that are based off of the Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
You could say we handpicked them from Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo, but with add-ons what we have in our database. Even though the angry video game nerd had reviewed Terminators 1 and 2 from episodes 70 and 71, we're giving an in-depth analysis.
It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger says in T2 Judgment Day.
This is tactically dangerous. The T-1000 is the same files that I do. It knows what I know. It might anticipate this move.
But we discover other games that he doesn't even know about.
Trust me.
And with that bit of introduction, let us start off with Terminator 1 video games.
A Terminator game for the NES platform had been in development since 1989. Sunsoft's game, Journey to Salius, was originally conceived as a game based on the original film. The license expired during production and the final game altered its graphics and created its own storyline. A NES game was eventually developed and released in December 1992. It is a side-scrolling platformer developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Mindscape and Bethesda Softworks.
Now keep in mind that this game came out a year after Terminator 2 Judgment Day came out in 1991, and the original Terminator came out in 1984. Just so that way we are clear. You're playing as Kyle Reese from the movie that has to make his way to the Skynet base in order to time travel back to 1984 to save Sarah Connor from the cyborg assassin, the T-800. Which kind of makes sense given the source material from the first movie, but what I don't understand is why are you starting in the sewers? But then I remembered that Kyle Reese mentioned about a base being built underground from the observation of Skynet. That is until, of course, a T-700 had infiltrated their base. For those who don't know, they are the first prototype with the Cyberflesh before the T-800 became the superior model, while the T-700 became obsolete. What Skynet is doing is that it's refining and redefining the perfect infiltrator in order to actually, of course, pass as human. The T-700 was just a mere prototype test run before unveiling the T-800.
It gives us the reasons why Skynet has a highly advanced nature to draw humans out and cause paranoia. The controls are god-awful. The angry nerd said that there's a delay on the jump, which has that weird rotoscope animation before jumping onto the platform. You can shoot at enemies, but freezes you in place when pulling the rifle out. I think it's supposed to be the phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range, but upon closer inspection it's the XM99, a phased plasma pulse rifle from Aliens. Another James Cameron movie, might I add.
When he first said that, I was like, what are you even talking about? And then I had to look at the gameplay footage, And sure enough, it's the phase plasma pulse rifle from Aliens. Why getting two media mix, number one? And number two, the controls suck ass that you can't shoot while ducking, you can't shoot while standing, and you can't shoot while running, or jumping for that matter. It's as if the developers, like the angry video game nerd said, haven't even played Contra just to get the concept right.
And then we are being chased by aerial hunter-killer and hunter-killer tank, which was seen in the movie opening. The game only gives you 6 lives and no continues, which is total bullshit.
That's the part that breaks the camel's back. The one game flaw where you only have 6 lives and no continues. Which is one of the reasons why this game is unplayable.
But the redeemer factor is that if you score 50,000 points, you get an extra life, which it's possible to beat.
Technically it's possible, but unfortunately, however, I don't see any save states or anything else that would clearly indicate that you would continue from this part. Plus, this game have bullshit platforming where you have to jump right between the legs in order to make your landing. Like this part right here where you had to jump on multiple platforms while avoiding the spike that just come out randomly. There's no clear indication of a pattern or anything else for that matter. You just gotta have to make for sure that you just do not want to take damage. Once you go through all the platforming, you time travel to Los Angeles 1984. And from here on out, it's just a regular platforming. What I find it absolutely bullshit is that Kyle Reese doesn't have a weapon, but instead uses his fist, which it kind of makes sense because when he time traveled back in 1984, his phase plasma rifle can't come with him because, according to him, nothing dead could come back through the time travel or the time displacement unit. That's only way later when he got himself a shotgun and a pistol just to go against the T-800. I think this section right here is supposed to be a recreational scene where Kyle Reese is running away from the cops, but also finding clothes just so that way he could blend in. Because when he time traveled to 1984, all his clothes, however, doesn't come with him. Instead, he just time traveled and showed up butt naked. I guess they had to censor it, considering this is on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
There's also another driving section, but in a top-down perspective, where you are being chased by a T-800 that's in the police car.
Which I do remember that part in the movie. That is until, of course, we get to the police station is where everything else falls apart. I think this is supposed to be the recreational scene from the movie where the T-800 storms into the police station and murder every single last officers there just so that way he could just get to Sarah Connor, which is the oh shit moment there. But here, it's one of those where the fuck do I go kind of games, but also a puzzle on top of it. The one thing's for certain is that it's not as bad, but it doesn't have the time limit just to solve a puzzle. See this gap in the floor right here? You need to toss that crate in order to make it across. It acts itself as a grenade for some fuck reasons. But you're gonna need it just for this specific floor just to make it to the exit.
We get another chase section, which is way later in the movie, where they plan to blow a computer factory.
And this level goes on and on and on until you get to the computer factory, which is the final level. And this one too is also another where the fuck do I go. At the start of the game, you need to find the key in order to enter the last place in order to fight the T-800, while being pursued by the T-800, who doesn't have any cyber flash on him. This happened way later in the movie when they stuck a pipe bomb into the tanker truck and he just came out as an endoskeleton.
Trouble is that you have nothing to defend yourself and have to avoid this metal clanker at all times. But once you do have the key, it's a final showdown against the T-800.
This part right here is a pain in the ass. You gotta have to make the T-800 follow you all the way across the entire map in order to actually jump across the presser where he gets pressed, just like in the movie. And you have to do all this without so much as dying. And congratulations, you beaten the wait a minute. T-101? It's called the T-800, you motherfuckers. I genuinely don't mean to be a negative Neil, but fuck you guys.
After that bit of a fuck up on the ending, let's have a look at Terminator on Super Nintendo.
Its overall gameplay and graphics are entirely different than its NES counterpart, and it's starting to look like a Contra-like. Which, in the back of everybody else's mind, you think this would be much better than the NES counterpart, but trust me, it's a big fuck up. Still about that 5 or 6 lives, and no continues. The biggest problem is that it doesn't have the password screen on the main menu. Hell, even the NES counterpart doesn't even have one, which is a huge red flag.
Play the whole game in one sitting is ball-breakingly annoying. Same as the NES version. Fight your way to Skynet base to time travel to 1984 to save Sarah Connor again.
That entire section takes about like 10 minutes, much in the similar contrast with the NES version. And what do we have here? He finally has a shotgun. But my biggest question is, why the fuck is he doing on the rooftops? I remember from the movie where he time traveled and was running away from the cops just to find clothes in order to blend in and hunt down the T-800. I don't remember this part in the movie. Or this part in the movie. Like, come on guys, you're not even trying.
Seeing this level looks more like a Batman or Robocop game than a Terminator game where you blast away creeps.
Seeing this level makes it feel like I'm seeing the similar contrast, which I was afraid they must have copy-pasted. It's even twice as long as the previous level. After murdering another fucking helicopter, it's time for the chase scene. I'm getting this Batman Return vibe from this Sega Genesis feel.
The police station is entirely different than its NES counterpart. Instead of being linear and solving a puzzle to get across the platform, it's now a maze where you need to find Sarah. The police station is huge. It has punks and leftover officers that are still in the building after it is being raided. While dealing with them, you have to search through doors to find Sarah in order to beat the level.
The level that you start off at is the police basement, which I don't remember that in the movie. I will say this is that this is an accurate recreation of the scene where Kyle is searching for Sarah. Don't believe me? Have a look. I really do like this added detail, especially of course the digitized voice of Kyle Reese. The biggest disappointment is that it doesn't have the T-800 while you're searching around through rooms. About the T-800, the reasons why I got the model number 101 is to go through the cyberflash processing. But it's not just the one model, there's multiple other variants of the T-800 series with a different model number than this one. And the scariest part is that there's 10 copies of the exact same model, the model that we're all familiar with, the Arnie. Since we already established what a T-800 looks like, let's try to find Sarah and figure out a way how to stop this metal cyborg assassin.
Another chase sequence later, and it's the final showdown with the T-800. This part is gonna be a spoiler, because in the movie Kyle Reese uses a pipe to defend himself against the T-800. But not before using the pipe bomb, which blows up the T-800 in half.
This part right here is entirely wrong. He didn't die from the explosion, he died while he was falling on the stairway. Looking at this in slow motion, he didn't even blow up in half. Instead, he just blew the fucking Terminator in complete pieces. And if that's not bad enough, the game fucking ends right there. Like, we don't get to see the Terminator getting pressed in the computer press? Nothing? Instead, it's just cut to credits, no congratulations, nothing.
Fuck you, asshole.
Okay, moving on to Terminator on Sega CD.
My God, it's full of stars.
I think this is the holy grail that we've been looking for as a Terminator fan. The gameplay kicks ass, and its soundtrack and every single last thing are pulled straight out of the movie. But not only that, but we also get variants of other Terminators that are actually, of course, not in the movie, but also in Sketchbook from James Cameron. The Spider Tanks. This right here is a Contra roguelike we all wanted, from the very beginning of both NES and the Super Nintendo. But the Sega Genesis of the Sega CD does justice, what Nintendo don't. It even has the Hunter-Killer tank as a boss fight. The story is the same as before. Make your way to Skynet base and save Sarah Connor once again. Since we ended on a good note with Terminator on Sega CD, let's have a look at Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is considered one of the best science fiction, action, and sequel films ever made. It is also seen as a major influence on visual effects in films, helping usher in the transition from practical effects to reliance on computer-generated imagery. The United States Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry in 2023.
But it also introduces a new Terminator, the most deadliest advanced prototype, the T-1000.
The T-1000, advanced prototype.
You mean more advanced than you, Mark?
Yes, a mimetic polyalloy,
What the hell does that mean?
liquid metal.
I need a minute here. You're telling me that this thing can imitate anything it touches?
Anything it samples by physical contact.
Get real. Like it could disguise itself as a pack of cigarettes.
No, only an object of equal size.
Well, why don't it just become a bomb or something to get me?
You can't form complex machines. Guns and explosives have chemicals, moving parts. It doesn't work that way. You can form solid metal shapes.
What?
Knives and stabbing weapons.
What's so scary about this fucking thing is that it doesn't pick up on thermal, meaning that if it blends into the wall, ceiling, or even the floor, you don't even know it's there. Faster than you can say you're terminated. And he's one of the reasons why I was introduced to Terminator 2 right before Terminator 1. The actor that played as the T-1000, Robert Patrick, he promoted Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Hey, check this out. The biggest video of the year is here now.
The top-grossing film of the year is now on video cassette.
Stay here. I'll be back.
The movie that earned a staggering $52 million in its opening weekend alone and has totaled over $190 million to date.
Get down.
Live presents the world's undisputed box office hero,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator.
the megastar, whose films have totaled over $1.2 billion in ticket sales alone.
Come with me if you want to live.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
I'm Robert Patrick. In Terminator 2, I play the T-1000 prototype Terminator, the future's most fearsome machine, the most advanced, unstoppable, most technically perfect creation of all time, a force with no equals. And that description can be applied directly to Terminator 2, Judgment Day, the most spectacular film ever created. Being a part of a movie like Terminator 2 is the ultimate thrill for a performer. Now, Terminator 2 is about to become the ultimate performer for you. Have plenty of copies on hand because Live's TV ad campaign will have every renter awaiting street date. Get set for the biggest and most exciting event in the history of video. On behalf of Arnold, Linda, myself, and the entire Terminator 2 cast and crew, welcome to our team. We'll see you on video.
In 2007, the Visual Effects Society, an entertainment industry organization of visual effects practitioners, named Terminator to the 14th most influential visual effects film of all time, and the T-1000 is listed by Guinness World Records as first major blockbuster movie character generated using computers.
With the success of Terminator 2 being a major blockbuster hit comes the video games. When people say video games of Terminator 2, most people refer to the arcade. But what I didn't know growing up is that there were home port versions of the same game. From Super Nintendo to Sega Genesis. There's even the Game Port version of the Game Boy. The Angry Video Game Nerd had already discussed it in his Terminator 2 video game review, which I'll put a link down below. But what he doesn't even realize is that there's even the Amiga 500 version. Yeah, I can't even believe it either. There's a Terminator 2 arcade for the Amiga 500.
It plays exactly like the arcade, but the downside is that it doesn't have sound FX, but the music kicks ass while shooting.
The Amiga 500 has limitations between sounds and music, which seems to be a minor issue, but nothing to complain about the game itself. That is until level 3, where it becomes an escort mission for just a little bit until you fight against Skynet's base. The soldier that's standing there is John Connor that you gotta have to protect as a escort mission. Don't believe me? Take a look at Cyberdyne's young John Connor. They even have the same net file number. That's how you know that's literally John Connor that you gotta have to protect as an escort mission across the entire battlefield in order to get to Skynet base. Everybody remembers this, and it's a pain in the ass, where you had to protect the truck at all costs while getting to Skynet base. As a kid, I've never seen this in a rail shooter where it becomes a fucking escort mission. Level 4 is where it no longer becomes an escort mission and you're literally storming into Skynet base facility. The lack of details that I noticed right off the bat is the floor gradient effect. I think it's supposed to be concrete, but the surrounding area has rocks and skulls and everything else, but nothing like this being as clean. Going into Skynet base, you're literally destroying everything else in sight before you even get to Skynet. And this thing is cheap with its arsenal of its own weapons, such as missiles, sand crawlers, everything else that just tosses at you while you're just destroying the supercomputer that's right in front of you, that is Skynet. Here's a bit of a fun fact lore here. No one else knows exactly what Skynet looks like or what it is exactly. Some people say that it's a supercomputer, which it actually is, but in the description of it, it is a supercomputer satellite that is orbiting around Earth. And it became self-aware on August 29th, 1997, is when Judgment Day was initiated. Sounds awfully a lot like the data centers I keep hearing for the past months. After destroying Skynet that Kevin O'Leary can't pay it with money, you time travel back to 1995. Level 5 is Cyberdyne's system, where you had to destroy every single last equipment that has any Terminator-related projects. This part right here scared the shit out of me when the T-1000 showed up, but sadly, it doesn't have the voice audio on the Amiga 500. Here, have a listen on the arcade version.
Are you John Connor?
Seeing him and hearing his voice just scared the shit out of me. Level 6 is another escort mission where you had to keep the van from the T-1000 from hitting it. It's a rehash from level 3, but it's not as annoying as level 3. And once you get to level 7, it's a final showdown between you and the T-1000. This part right here, you gotta douse him with liquid nitrogen in order to get his core temperature to negative 200 degrees Celsius. In layman's terms, that's negative 328 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning that it'll shatter below zero of sub-zero degrees Fahrenheit. Ever seen the movie Titanic with that kind of pressure and that kind of temperature? Yeah, let's just move on. The timing on this is that you gotta have to shotgun him across the catwalk while using, of course, the grenade shell in order to get him off of the catwalk. Even though that you've beaten the game, it just leaves out a teaser that there is going to be a sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Which it took 12 years to have a sequel, by the way. God, I can't even talk about it, but next video, not here.
Next up we have Terminator 2 on NES, the game published by LJN. For context, LJN is infamous among retro gamers for publishing dozens of NES titles, which are often remembered for their unforgiving difficulty and questionable quality, mainly due to their interference and gameplay changes, I presume. This misleading part is that they are publishers and not developers, yet they try to act like one while under the projects. The game itself looks as though a beat-em-up video game with this Mega Man feel to it. With its graphics, it tries to follow the same plot from the movie, yet questionable mechanics are thrown in, like this big biker guy that wasn't in the movie. The canal chase scene is the same, but John Connor can only be seen at the end of the level. The cutscene dialogue tries to match much like the movie, yet the text got changed, instead of saying mimetic polyalloy. In the Pescadero State Hospital you'll go in and shooting people's legs while searching for Sarah. In the movie he doesn't kill anyone, which is a nice touch, although you do occasionally see the T-1000 while searching. In Cyberdyne you're looking for barrels and have to dispose of them and place them in a designated location, which is extremely unnecessary to do when destroying Cyberdyne. And finally the steel mill where you face the T-1000. This level is much more detailed than Terminator on NES Computer Factory level, yet it is a platform nightmare where you have to jump and land perfectly in order to face the T-1000. This is Dark Souls level of platforming. It tried to be movie accurate, yet at the end of the day LJN is still notorious. The Super Nintendo version isn't good either, because of the infamous escort mission, collecting future objects, and the shitty isometric driving section.
My biggest bitch about Terminator 2 on Super Nintendo is the steel mill level. The escort mission is complete. As soon as you walk forward, you see John Connor, but it turns out to be the T-1000. And that's like the biggest W what the fuck moment right here. Jesus, have they not seen the movie? Because the T-800 explained that it can only copy in physical contact of equal size. Seeing the T-1000 disguise himself as John Connor is the biggest what the fuck to LJN. There's also the T-800s that are littered throughout the entire steel mill, without even flesh coverings. Kyle Reese had mentioned that nothing dead can come back through the time displacement unit, yet here they are now in the steel mill. And this is not even the Skynet base. So why the fuck are they here to begin with? Who knows, who cares? Oh, and the biggest fuck you is that you still gotta have to collect the future objects before going against the T-1000. What the fuck, LJN? Beating this game, you gotta have to take a fucking miracle, because it only gives you 2 lives and no continues. One more fuck up, and it's game over. This part right here, you had to like shoot the T-1000 in order to get him off the catwalk and fell into the molten steel that's down below. But that was just his warm-up, cause now this is his second form in the boss fight. It's like, what the fuck even is this? This kind of reminds me of the bosses that I had to deal with in Dark Souls 3, and they take up as a secondary form right before their first form, however, ain't doing shit. Again, fuck you LJN for not getting the right source material because of this shit. But once you do defeat the T-1000, the entire steel mill, however, has all this explosives and shit. And then all of a sudden, the T-800 went back into the time displacement unit back to his own time. It's like, what the fuck, LJN? This pissed me off to no end.
Jesus. Okay, let's have a look at the C64 version of Terminator 2. The entire game is a mix between a fighting game, puzzle game, and whatever it is. The puzzle games are mandatory just to get more health. That's right, you got only one life and no continues. The gameplay looks simple enough, yet there are few things wrong like that the T1000 has, and some of the cutscenes. Same thing with the Amiga 500 version, with the exact gameplay.
There's really not much to discuss about, other than they're the exact same game from the Commodore 64 version. Terminator 2 Chess War on DOS. Oh my, this looks hideous. For those of you who don't know the title, this is supposed to be a battle chess clone by Interplay. Yet this is actually made by Capstone, the guys who try to ride the coattails of id Software's its first-person shooter games. The game itself is self-explanatory that you're just playing it like chess, just like any other chess as usual. Only this one, however, has some brutal death animations, much gorier and much more violent than any other battle chess I've ever seen. I mean, it's interesting and novelty, yet it's ruined by the clunkiness of the computer AI that's playing the Terminator pieces. I got one more game just to end on a good note for this video.
Terminator 2D. No fate.
My god, this game kicks fucking ass. This is the true Terminator game that we all deserve. It has badass boss fights, platforming, and all the other things that you could possibly imagine that a Contra and Terminator fused together. It's glorious. Even though this game is a hard son of a bitch, but it still kicks ass, and it's still faithful to the movie of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. As a matter of fact, I count this as the true Terminator 3 in the flesh. I also heard about Terminator Resistance being as the true Terminator 3, which is still okay in my book, along with Terminator 2D No Fate. The cutscenes follow the exact same plot as like the movie itself, the way it should have been. It even has that little unique cutscene where the T-1000 copied the exact same shape as like the security guard. I played this stealth map, and this thing scared the shit out of me when the T-1000 came out of the elevator right behind me. Overall, this game kicks ass, and I highly recommend it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.
And it's time to say goodbye to all of you. But I'll be seeing you again very soon. Goodbye.